What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, or maybe not because YouTube hates me, I'm going to be breaking down all of the things that Netflix got right and what they got wrong in their new series, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Because they did a really good job with some things. They left a lot of stuff out. They embellished sometimes, and I'm just gonna break all of that down for you guys. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jess. I'm a person in long-term recovery who has in fact gone to prison. Good times. If you want to follow me on any other social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, that's $2. It's only ever gonna be $2. All of that is linked down below, as well as my vlog channel and my podcast. Without further ado, let's kick this thing off. As you can tell by my voice, I am like overcoming a head cold and I'm like super congested, but I'm good. Like I feel good, but my voice, my congestion hasn't caught up yet, So this is the second video in my Dahmer series. I did do an entire breakdown of this Netflix series, Monster, and I will leave it on the card up here. So I have like 20 things to either prove fact or fiction, like 20 of them, and I could probably do this all day long, but number one, opening scene, episode 1, how Dahmer is caught. That is true. And they did an incredible job of really painting that picture. That whole scene happened almost to a T from what we see in the Netflix show. Number 2, in one of the scenes, we see Dahmer's grandmother save a young man who Dahmer brought home. Well, that is true and also not confirmed, and there's tons of details left out. So this is like 50% accurate. We don't really know his grandmother's involvement in saving this young man. We do know that she did wake up, she did hear what was going on, and that saved that person. While that is true, they left out a lot of stuff and they kind of stretched that storyline. So it is not confirmed that Dahmer's grandmother had as much involvement as we see in the show. That did happen though. Dahmer brought someone home, grandma heard it, and grandma's like, not today, okay? We're not gonna murder people in my house today. Absolutely not. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna make sure he's okay. That is confirmed, but we don't know like how involved she really was. What the show did not show or even talk about was the fact that when he woke up in the hospital, he had been sexually assaulted. And I really think that that should have been in the show. They should have mentioned that because it just shows again and again and again how our system failed and how this young black man was not taken seriously about sexual assault, and he was just really ignored by the cops. That whole scene with that victim, it is true. I just wish they talked about the sexual assault and just how often victims of sexual assault are not believed. It is very infuriating, but they did show that he was a black man and he was completely ignored, and Jeffrey, who is white, totally got away with it because his grandma's like, no, I was with him. Definitely didn't happen. I was here all night. And again, Dahmer gets a pass. Like, Number 3, you know how in the show, Glenda is walking upstairs with this big, heavy thing, and this handsome man is walking in behind her. His name's Dean Vaughn, and he's like, let me help you with that stuff. That looks mad heavy. And she's like, holy shit, you scared me. Probably because I live next to like a serial killer, cannibal, horrifying human being, evil person, right? So she's on edge. She's on edge. Well, the show kind of alludes to Dahmer killing Dean Vaughn, but that didn't actually happen. In a crazy fucking turn of events, that person does go missing, but he was found strangled in his apartment like a couple of weeks later. So of course, we're like, oh, he definitely killed that person. But Dahmer never admitted to this, and there's also no evidence. He was found strangled. Just crazy turn of fate. So can you imagine though, you see these people one second, the next second you don't, and they're missing, and like no one's listening, no one cares. What? I would have left the building. You know that TikTok audio that's going around? I'm not being dramatic when I say I would rather sit naked on a hot grill than stay in that building. Like I would have slept under a freaking bridge to get out of that building. Can you imagine how much that must smell? Okay, but anyway, the show kind of makes you think that Dahmer killed Vaughn when that actually didn't happen. There's no evidence, and that murder is unsolved. What? I know. Number 4, Dahmer wore yellow contacts in the show. Is this real or is this fake? That is real. He liked yellow contacts because he loved like Star Wars and Darth Vader, which now I can't ever watch Star Wars the same again. Ew, and like The Exorcist. So he liked these movies and it made him feel like dark and like powerful, I guess. Cringe. Number 5, and y'all know I'm probably gonna lose count. Glenda. I said I could talk forever about Glenda. So Glenda Cleveland in the show was Dahmer's next door neighbor. That is false. So Glenda Cleveland actually lived in the apartment adjacent to the Oxford building, and she became really suspicious of Dahmer after she called the cops to help with a situation with a minor, a young Asian boy who was disoriented, drugged, drunk, covered in cuts and bruises, and just really not okay. Glenda called the cops for help with this boy. Cops return this child to Dahmer and he kills him. Well, that is when Glenda started to get very aware of Jeffrey, but again, she didn't live next door to Jeffrey, she lived in a different apartment building. So why did Netflix spend so much time on Glenda if Glenda didn't live there? Well, I think that is because the show kind of mixed two people together, which I don't know why they would do that. Maybe it's like to save time, but Dahmer's neighbor was actually Pamela Bass, and she lived across the hall from Dahmer. And Glenda Cleveland lived in a different building. So I don't know why they like seem to merge these two things, because that's two different people, two different experiences, two different takes on what they saw happening. And I thought it was kind of a missed opportunity. I thought really the show should have included Pamela Bass, not just made Pamela Bass Glenda, because again, two different people. Number 6, Sandra, Glenda Cleveland's daughter, in the show is arrested. There is no record of that, so from all of my research, I'm going to have to say that that is false. Netflix really just kind of embellished there and made it a little bit more dramatic because it is Netflix and entertainment. But there's no record of Sandra being arrested for smashing that guy's camera on the ground. I think the reason why Netflix did that, just so that the audience felt more sympathy and compassion for Glenda, which, hello, we all do. We don't need the drama, right? Or do we? I don't know, but that was not real. Number 7, Glenda Cleveland is calling the cops for months. That's what the show will have you think, that this went on for months and she's just calling. The first record that we have of Glenda calling the cops is when she saw that 14-year-old victim naked and disoriented and cut up in the street. And that was 7 weeks before Dahmer was actually caught. So in real life, from all of my research, Glenda started calling and she called for 7 weeks. Was she ignored? Yes. Were her claims and all of it just brushed aside? Yes. But in the show, they have us think that that was going on for months, right? And the reality is she called for 7 weeks. Is 7 weeks too fucking long to call? Yep. She should have been taken seriously that first day, and that young boy should not have been returned to Dahmer. And again, we see systematic failures, homophobia, and racism when cops believed Dahmer, a white male who's charismatic, believed Dahmer over Glenda. Because of that, they returned a child to Dahmer, and that child was murdered an hour later. Number 8, speaking of that victim, in the show, we see Dahmer pick up this young boy outside of a liquor store. He's like, hey, I got money and I got beer. Let's go take some pictures. And you see them walk off. That is not how it happened, so that is false. In real life, Dahmer picks up this young boy from a mall, and from the mall, they go back to Dahmer's apartment. Number 10. In the show, we see this minor, right, get returned to Dahmer, and the cops go up, they're like, yeah, they have pictures together, it's totally fine, they're boyfriends. Well, that is real, but something that was left out of the show, and I don't know why they left it out, it kind of makes me crazy, is that when those cops went up there and returned this 14-year-old boy to Dahmer, they neglected to see a dead body in the bedroom. And these are small apartments. One, it smells. There's dead people. It smells, okay? So the cops didn't notice it, didn't care, turned a blind eye. And there's also a whole ass dead body in that room on the bed. And the cops looked around. They looked around. They were like, oh, this seems normal. This is fine. This doesn't smell like rotting human beings or anything. This kid can stay here. It's totally a safe environment. That's not a problem at all. How do you not put that in the show, Netflix? I want to know. That should have been in the show. That there was a body in the bedroom. Cops came in, looked around, didn't think it was a red flag, and left, and an hour later that boy died. Like, are you kidding me? Number 11. In the show, the cops are suspended, reinstated, and given awards. Well, that's only half true. So the cops that returned a child to Dahmer, all that happened, they're suspended because it looked bad, you think? Do you think? And then those cops were reinstated a few years later by order of a judge. Ew. And that is kind of the end of that story. But in the show, we see the cops get awards. That didn't happen. And I don't know why they felt it was necessary to include this made-up scene about these officers getting awards. Maybe it's to contrast Glenda Cleveland getting a Citizen Award. I don't know. It's a very weird, cringy thing that I don't see how Netflix could think that that was okay. You know, I have some questions. Number 12, Dahmer posed for pictures in his yearbook for clubs that he did not participate in. Is that real? Yes, it is accurate, and just like in the show, they blacked out his face from the Honor Society. Like, bro, his GPA was like 0.45. So his blood alcohol level, probably higher, right? So Honor Society, okay. It would be funny. It would be funny if it wasn't Dahmer. But yeah, that actually happened. 13. Dahmer is baptized on the same day John Wayne Gacy is executed, and also there is an eclipse, all on the same day. Fact or fiction? Yes, that is a fact. All that weird ass shit happened on that day, so maybe stay home that day. May 10th. That's just not the day. That's not the day to leave your house, okay? May 10th is just completely taken off my calendar. From here on out, like, no, there's weird shit in the air on that day. Number 13, maybe? I don't know. In the show, we see Dahmer get served an eviction notice. That is false. The show kind of added that in, but in reality, Dahmer was warned like 3 times from the building manager that, hey, smells pretty fucking bad in here, dude. Maybe fix it. But the show kind of takes it a step further and says that he was served an eviction notice, and that is false. Never happened. 14. In the show, we see Dahmer steal blood from where he worked, and he's in the bathroom, he's like aroused by this blood and like drinks it, and it like covers his body, and it's like the most cringy scene, right? That's false. That never happened, but it's Netflix and drama like sells, you know? So in real interviews with Dahmer, we get tons of details, and Dahmer said that he tried a little vial of the blood on the rooftop of that building and he spit it out. It wasn't this creepy, I'm gonna fucking bathe in blood scene. Never happened. But don't lie, we could all see that happening, right? Like I could see it because he was a cannibal, and it makes sense to me. Like, so maybe Netflix didn't go too far with that scene, because I get it. I can see it. 16? Eh? In the show, we see Dahmer become obsessed with a jogger, and he has a baseball bat, and he's going to, you know, like bludgeon him to death. Is that a word? I don't know. The baseball bat scene was false. He never came face to face with this jogger, because on the day that Dahmer went to go find this beautiful, sweaty jogger that's in perfect shape, guess what happens? The universe kept that man safe, and he just didn't go on his regular jog that morning. You just never know in the universe. You don't know why traffic's crazy today, or why you forget your phone and have to drive back home. Like, you don't know what you're missing out on. That day you don't go to the gym, you don't go jogging, could save your life, okay? So that's why I don't jog, because there are people like Dahmer. I don't know, I'm just lazy. But it does seem to me like jogging's dangerous, and I'm gonna cross that off my list of shit to do. 18, 19, something like that. The show completely leaves out Dahmer's parole officer. Why? I don't know, but it makes me crazy. And there was a lot of outrage surrounding the parole officer or probation officer, whichever one he was on. This parole officer was supposed to be going to the Oxford building to check on Dahmer twice a month. Guess how many times she went there? You're never gonna guess. Fucking 0. 0 is the number of times that she went there to check on him, a registered sex offender. Girl, I just wanna talk. 19. The news reports in the show will have you believe all kinds of stuff, but all of them were fake, which is weird to me because they have plenty of footage, news stories, interviews, and stuff to go on. So I don't know why they had to like throw in these random fake news stories. One of them in the background talks about a fire happening in like the Stanford neighborhood, I believe, and that neighborhood doesn't even exist. So it's kind of odd to me because in the background they could have had real news series or a real news report going on. I don't know why they had to like throw in these random fake news stories, you know? Like that was weird, especially because we have plenty to work from, Netflix. We have plenty, and y'all did a good job with some shit. I liked the show. I think you did a good job. It's very dramatic, very dark, very ominous, but there's some stuff I don't understand. Number 20. Netflix left out this huge opportunity to showcase how angry this community was with all of these people that steadily let Dahmer get away. I think there was just a missed opportunity there because that community was outraged. They were outraged, and I don't think that Netflix portray that at all. I think it was kind of glossed over. We do see the families like really struggle in the aftermath, and that starts like with episode 7. Why did they leave out such a huge component to systematic racism and homophobia and the failures in that police department? Why did the cops get awards on the show when that didn't happen in real life? So I could definitely see why family members and people in that community are mad, because they were mad then, they're mad now. And I think in the show, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I believe in the show the only time we hear anyone say, "You're ignoring this because I am a black man and he is a white man and you're ignoring me," was in that moment where the survivor got away because grandma woke up. We see him say that, but we don't really get enough of it, you know? But it just really seemed to me like there wasn't any real accountability with that, especially because those officers got reinstated. I will say that in 2022, if this happened, those cops might, you know, never be cops again, right? And I think we have made some progress. Do we still have work to do? Of course. But I would like to think that those cops would be plastered all over social media. They would never be cops again. They would never, you know, be reinstated or transferred to another police force. That gives me some hope, you know, that we are moving in the right direction, but we still got some work to do. 21, Netflix left out the fact that the apartment manager in the Oxford building not only told Jeffrey about the smell, that manager helped him clean out his freezer to try to mitigate the smell and get rid of the smell. Yeah, yep, you could have put that in there, Netflix. I'm just saying. 21, 22. In the show, we see Dahmer accidentally drink one of the drugged drinks with victim number 2, and, you know, he's stumbling, he's kind of drugged, then he wakes up and this person is dead and like severely beaten, and obviously Dahmer has like all these cuts and stuff on his hands. That's not confirmed.
One time I brought this young man back to the hotel room, the Ambassador Hotel. Was just planning on drugging him and spending the night with him. Had no intention of hurting him. When I woke up in the morning, he had a broken rib here, was heavily bruised. Apparently I had beaten him to death with my fists.
And you have no memory
I
of it?
have no memory of it.
And it would make sense that that might have happened because he doesn't remember. Like, was he just drunk? Did he drink the drugged stuff? But if he was drugged, if he did drink all of that stuff, I mean, wouldn't he pass out? It's really strange that Dahmer doesn't remember. He just woke up and dude was dead. So Netflix kind of had to tell a little story there, a little white lie, and just they assumed that Dahmer drank the drugged drink, which I get it, that kind of makes sense. I believe that because of his psychosis, he snapped out of it and he doesn't remember, or because he was in the beginning stage of his killing spree, maybe his brain was trying to, I don't know, compartmentalize it or protect him from the details of just how bad the situation was. I don't know. I'm pretty sure if I commit a murder, that's gonna be traumatic, right? So not sure. Did he drink the drug drink? I don't know. Was it psychosis? Was it, you know, a trauma response from the brain? He doesn't remember. Was he just drunk? Did he pass out? I don't know. All he said in interviews, from what I can see, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, is that he doesn't remember. He woke up and he was dead. It was an accident. How do you accidentally beat someone to literal death? Like, how? And if you were drugged, wouldn't you be sleepy? You know, so I really believe that it was just psychosis, and he has, you know, a laundry list of mental health disorders, which brings me to the last one, which Netflix leaves out the fact that he has all of these mental health diagnoses. Borderline, and all of my Ride or Die crew members with borderline, please don't think that you have anything in common with Dahmer. He just happens to have this diagnosis. I did see some comments in my last video where people were like, oh my God, I have borderline, and so does he. Ugh, it's okay. You're not Jeffrey Dahmer, I promise. But he has borderline, schizotypal, psychotic disorder, necrophilia, cannibalism. I mean, he was a very, very, very sick person. So I don't know why the show didn't like say that he was diagnosed with these things, but he was. Okay, I think that's all that I have for you guys. I'm also going to be doing body language analysis of him, which is crazy. The more I watch his interviews, the creepier it becomes. So be on the lookout for that video. But I'm gonna end today's video here. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay in recovery, whatever that looks like to you. You have nothing in common with Dahmer, I promise. And I will see you guys in my next one.